I'm out here in the cold is because we are actually at the United States Military Academy at West Point at a basketball game. But we managed to do a little, what's the word, exploring, and found ourselves at the football field like we usually do. The Spring Classic is coming up. The weather is starting to thaw out. We can get rid of the coffee mugs and the hot chocolate and get back to some ice cold lemonade and such. So make sure you stay tuned as we're going to have our preview show for the tournament coming up real soon. The Spring Classic is going to be an awesome time. Pioneer Football League, Coach Patterson. And check out these sweets real quick. Some gorgeous stuff. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Pioneer Football League Sportscenter. This is Commissioner David Patterson here from the Man Cave. We are hanging out as the winter chill is starting to thaw out, and we're getting started for the Spring Classic. In front of me I have a couple of things that we already are prepared for this year's championship raffle. So we are collecting some things. Not going to give you too much, but we're definitely prepared for another successful season of Pioneer Football League action. So let's start with the Spring Classic, shall we? Before we get into the actual action, let's announce the teams that are going to be participating in the Spring Classic. We have, on the Bronx side of things, the Seahawks, second-year program. Coach Eric and Coach Fridge are over there making things happen. I was at the practice the other day. We see some faces that are familiar but brand new to that organization, so it should be interesting to see if they can build on the momentum from last season, which included some pretty thrilling victories against some good opponents. Next, we have the Bronx Buccaneers, who are runner-ups in the Spring Classic, and also in our 15 to 17 category, runner-ups in our senior division in the fall. They definitely have their whistle wet and ready to take that next step in hoisting the trophy. Coach O'Neill and Coach Mike and the boys over there are working hard to make sure that a repeat of the appearance in the championship game actually leads to them raising some hardware this season. So it should be interesting to see where that goes. We also have the defending champion Bronx Colts. They've been practicing as well over 161st Street. They're looking strong again, and looks like they're pretty much the team. They're already talking about a three-peat. So with all that talk of that number 3 going around, we'll see that they have a pretty big target on their back, and there are other teams that are vying for that championship crown. So on the other side of the river, we have the Brooklyn Bobcats. Coach Tony over there, he has now gone up to just assuming the ownership roles and is in the midst of hiring a head coach. And we'll kind of get into that as the season resumes, so you can see how that transition is happening. But they seem to be very excited about the season starting over there, over on the Fort Hamilton side of things. On the other side of Brooklyn, we have the Brooklyn Pharaohs, who are a brand new team that got in some action with the Pioneer Football League last year in some scrimmage games against our 21 and under programs. So they are very versed in the competition that they're going to see this season, so don't be surprised if you see a couple of victories under their belt. Even though they're a brand new team, they definitely have some familiarity with the teams that they'll be stacking up against during the course of this year. The last team that I want to talk about, I want to give you a welcome to a team that had a lot of trouble in the 2013 season, was hit hard by the hurricane and never really fully recovered. Well, they recovered now, and now they're ready to get back in the swing of things as the Staten Island Bandits are ready to play. So they have locked in, and we are ready to put them on the schedule and ready to move forward and get that program back to where it needs to be, which is the premier program in Staten Island, especially for those that are looking to play collegiate level ball. So congratulations to those guys out there for getting that product back up and running on its feet. We know that it's been a struggle for you guys to get this thing together, so we definitely will keep track on what's going over there. So it should be really good action. We have 6 teams that are vying for the championship in the Spring Classic, so we'll definitely stay tuned and see what happens there. Welcome back to the Pioneer Football League. This is Commissioner Patterson. Right in front of me I have the Bronx Buccaneers calendar for the 2014-2015 calendar year. I received this in my travels to the Bronx Buccaneers banquet, in which they also presented me with this award from the coaches for their thanks for our efforts for the Pioneer Football League. I want to thank the Buccaneers organization for having me. They had an awesome banquet at the Eastwood Manor in the Bronx. The Bronx Colts had their banquet over at PS 55, where I was able to talk to some of the guys, congratulate them on a very good season, from the little guys all the way on up to the collegiate level guys. It was a lot of fun over there, and I thank Coach Free and the Bronx Colts admin and staff for having me at their banquet as well.
Because of where I come from. Oh, I can't do it because it's too hard. Oh, I can't do it because of this or that. That's cow mentality. You want rhino mentality. It doesn't matter where I'm from. It doesn't matter what my starting point is. If I focus and have that tunnel vision, regardless, I'm going to reach my goals 100%. So I want everybody in here to make sure that wherever your starting point is, it doesn't much matter. Once you make a commitment to being excellent, that's when things are really going to take off for you. When it comes down to it, being successful does not happen by chance. It doesn't happen because of luck. It happens all based on your commitment to being excellent. It may not happen right away for you. It may not originally just pop for you right away. But if you stay committed to being excellent and being the best.
In other banquet news, we also had the New York City Lions banquet down in downtown. Everybody over there had a really good time. We saw some photos from that event. Really good job by Coach Manning and Coach Kavanaugh as usual, showing those guys some first-class recognition for their efforts during the course of the football season. We also had the Harlem Jets. A lot of photos of them, including some retired jerseys and some big-time recognition with trophies celebrating their championship run in the Pioneer Football League. So we'll give you some pictures from that. As you can see, it was a great time that was had by all. Great time and a great job by the Harlem Jets. In other banquet news, we also had the Bronx Steelers have their annual banquet as well. Coach Sean and those guys celebrated 2 championships in the Pioneer Football League last season, and they celebrated their successful 2013 season as they get ready for their 2014 season, which includes a change of address of sorts, as they are moving into John F. Kennedy campus as their home field for the 2014 season, which also includes them hosting the 2014 Pioneer Football League championship games. Encourages players, especially on our collegiate level, to go to college or high school level, to go to high schools that have football, especially private schools that offer excellent educations. We are going to give you updates on those players that played either last year or in the spring and have transitioned into programs in the fall. Whether we have a page on the Pioneer League website, pioneer-league.com. If you click on the alumni tab, you'll see some of our players that are now playing in college campuses all across the nation. So we are giving you a preview of the Pioneer Football League, and now we have the spring classic schedule all hammered out, so we're going to give that to you in just a minute. We're going to start with the information that was already leaked out on the internet with our first round of games. We have the first week triple header at 161st Street, McCombs Dam Park. That'll be the Pharaohs versus the Colts in our first game. We'll have the Pharaohs taking on the defending champions. That should be an awesome matchup. Don't be surprised if you see some familiar faces on both sides. That would make for some pretty interesting football. The game that follows that immediately is the Bobcats and the Buccaneers. The late game is the Staten Island Bandits versus the Bronx Seahawks, 2 teams that will have some new looks to it. That is week 1. That's the weekend of April the 5th. So those games will all be on Saturday. The following week, week 2, we have at 161st Street another triple header. We'll have the first kick, the Buccaneers and the Pharaohs. The 4:30 kick is the Seahawks and the Bobcats. Another rematch of a thrilling game last year that went into overtime. We have Bandits and Colts as the 7 p.m. game, and that game should be an interesting game as well. And that is week 2. Week 3, we end up with the Buccaneers and the Colts. That's our first Friday night game, which will be a 7 p.m. kickoff on April the 18th. And then we will have, during the course of that weekend, we haven't hammered out the details yet, the Bandits and the Pharaohs will be playing one another as well. So we have 2 games that particular weekend for the Pioneer football fans. The week 4 kickoff is Friday night, April 25th, and there are 2 games on the schedule. The first game is the Seahawks and the Colts. That will be the 7 p.m. kick on Friday night. And then the second kick, which will be in Brooklyn, will be Bobcats and Pharaohs. On week 5, we have include the Seahawks and the Buccaneers, and then the Bobcats and the Bandits. So that should be some interesting football right there. And we are here at Pioneer Football League, Commissioner Patterson here at West Point, enjoying the off season. The spring tournament is about to begin, the Spring Classic. We have a bunch of teams that you're definitely going to be familiar with, and a team or 2 that you may not be familiar with. We do have some more exciting news, including official entry from a second state into the Pioneer Football League for the little guys, a team out of New Jersey called the Patterson Nifty Lions. So we'll keep track of them and see what their status is, but it should be a really great season this year. So again, here from West Point, Commissioner Patterson, Pioneer Football.